welcome to Evermore Stories. I'm Alex.
I'm Erin.
We'll be reading from the Red Fairy book, and the story is The Seven Foals. Oh, fuck. Is that foals?
Yeah, like
Foals?
baby horses.
Foals?
Foals.
Foals?
Yeah. Read the story.
I don't think I've ever read it like that.
You read them like fowls, like birds.
That's a bird?
Yeah. Oh my god.
I guess that's staying in.
I guess, yep, go ahead.
There was once upon a time a couple of poor folks who lived in a wretched hut far away from everyone else in a wood. They only just managed to live from hand to mouth and had great difficulty in doing even so much but they had 3 sons, and the youngest of them was called Cinderlad, for he had nothing else but lie and poke about among the ashes.
So, anyone who touches ash, if you think about ash, Cinder goes in front of your name. Just as Cinder Alex.
Perfect. One day, the eldest lad said that he would go out to earn his living. He soon got leave to do that, and set out on his way into the world. He walked on and on for the whole day, and when night was beginning to fall, he came to a royal palace. The king was standing outside on the steps and asked where he was going. You know, this is about the oldest son.
I know. When you said that, I'm like, I think that's the first time they didn't follow the youngest.
Yeah.
They're like, the youngest named Cinderlad, now fuck that guy. And I was like, wait.
Why did they name him?
Well, wait, go back to the Cinderella story. If you remember, they named the one sister Charlotte. So
You're not wrong.
You never know who they're going to name.
Oh, I'm going about seeking a place for my father, said the youth. Wilt thou serve me and watch my 7 fowls? Asked the king.
Foals!
Is it foals?
It's a foals!
Let's try that again. Wilt thou serve me and watch my 7 foals?
Beautiful. Good job.
Asked the king. If thou canst watch them for a whole day and tell me at night what they eat and drink, thou shalt have the princess and half my kingdom. But if thou canst not, I will cut 3 red strips on thy back.
What? Wait! Hold up!
It says stripes, red stripes on the back.
That's not
Makes
even
it
my
no
problem.
different.
That's not even my problem. My problem is, you tell me what they eat at night. You can have my daughter and a bunch of shit. It's like, you don't, and I'm gonna whip you. We just let that slide. We're just like, that's fine. Olden times. Yeah, go ahead. I gotta keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, olden times. Yeah.
I have a guess, though. I have a theory.
What?
My theory is the youngest is gonna marry her. The
Probably.
youngest is gonna know. This is my guess. So we actually are following the youngest. We just don't know it yet.
Cinderlad's coming back. Yeah. The youth thought that it was very easy work to watch the foals and that he could do it well enough. Next morning, when day was beginning to dawn, the king's master of the horse let out the 7 foals, and they ran away, and the youth after them, just as it chanced, over hill and dale, through the woods and bogs. When the youth had run thus for a long time, he began to be tired, and when he had held on a little longer, he was heartily weary of watching at all. And at the same moment, he came to a cleft on a rock where an old woman was sitting, spinning her distaff in her hand. I feel like there's always an old woman in...
That's how you know it's a fairy tale right there. Old women don't really exist.
Right.
It's a myth.
There's fairies.
It's a myth.
Or witches.
They're either fairies, witches. That's it. That's the 2 occupations you get.
Not grandmas. Yeah. Those are wolves.
Fairies, witches, or wolves. That's it. Real old ladies don't exist.
As soon as she caught sight of the youth, who was running after the foals till the perspiration streamed down his face, she cried, come hither, my handsome son. Let me comb your hair for you." The lad
that's a cougar. She's trying to get some from the eldest Cinderlad.
The lad was willing enough, so he sat down in the cleft of the rock beside the old hag and laid his head on her knees while she combed his hair all day while he lay there and gave himself up to idleness. He accepted all day.
I know. He's like, you know what?
I'm gonna just relax.
You go ahead.
Right.
Now he's gonna get fucking whipped because he's stupid.
When evening was drawing near, the youth wanted to go. I may just as well go straight home again, said he, for it is no use to go to the king's palace. Wait till it is dusk, said the old hag, and then the king's fowls will pass by this place again, and you can run home with them. No one will ever know that you have been lying here all day instead of watching the foals. I wanted to say foals.
He's gonna get beat up.
So when they came, she gave
She's
the lad...
the king. That's my new thought. She's the king of disguise.
So when they came, she gave the lad a bottle of water, a bit of moss, and told him to show these to the king and say that this is what the 7 foals ate and drank.
Did he ask for her advice, or did she just, know?
She just knew.
That's why I don't trust her. Okay? Which?
Hast thou watched faithfully and well the whole day long? Said the king when the lad came into his presence in the evening. Yes, that I have, said the youth. Then you are able to tell me what it is my 7 foals eat and drink? Said the king. So the youth proceeded, though produced...
Does the king know what they eat and drink?
I don't know.
Is he gonna be like, oh no, my horses don't eat moss, you stupid idiot?
Don't know.
Take your shirt off.
So the youth produced the bottle of water and the bit of moss which he had gotten from the old woman, saying, Here you see their meat, and you see their drink. Then the king knew he was watching had been done, and fell into such a rage that he ordered the people to chase the youth back to his own home at once.
Just because he's the king, he's like, do you think I'm stupid? That's what
apparently. Once. But first they were cut 3 stripes in his back and rubbed salt into them.
Don't freaking lie to this king, okay?
But it said that he knew his watching had been done.
He knew his watching had been done?
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't want to. Maybe he doesn't like the horses. And that's why he never built a fence.
He's like, you actually fucking wash these horses? What the fuck?
It's like, dang, they were supposed to goddamn escape. You brought them back.
Right, I wanted to get rid of these.
Actually a curse. My mother-in-law gave them to me and I freaking hate her.
When the youth reached home again, anyone can imagine what a state of mind he was in. He had gone out once to seek a place, he said, but never would do such a thing again.
Honestly, I'm going to eat dirt before I try to move into a village.
Next day, the second son said that he would go now.
Middle Cinder.
Out into the world to seek his fortune. His father and mother said no, and bade him to look at his brother's back, but the youth would not give up his design and stuck to it. And after a long, long time, he got to leave and set forth on his way.
I just looked at
It's alright. She's fine.
She grabbed one and dropped it on the floor.
When he walked all day, he too came to the king's palace, and the king was standing outside on the steps and asked where he was going. And when the youth replied that he was going about in search of a place, the king said that he might enter into his service and watch his 7 foals.
I'd be like, no. My brother just came here.
I know, my brother just watched 7 foals.
Yeah, I think you're the same freaking psychopath that he was telling us about that fucked him up.
Then the king promised him the same punishment and same reward he had promised the other brother. The youth at once consented to this and entered into the king's service, for he thought he could easily watch the foals and inform the king what they had ate and drank.
You stupid moron.
In grey light of dawn, the master of the horse led out the 7 foals, and off they went again over hill and dale, and off went the lad after them. But all went with him as it had gone with his brother. When he ran after the foals for a long, long time and was hot and tired, he passed a cleft in the rock where an old woman was sitting spinning a distaff, and she called to him, come hither, my handsome son, and let me comb your hair.
This cougar likes to keep it in the family.
I know. So clearly Cinderlad's about to know some shit.
I know. You know what he's going to do? He's going to freaking build a fence. He's going to be like, you know what?
He's going to pay no mind to this old hag. And the king's
and keep chasing
like,
after the horses. The reason they're even paying attention to the old hag is because they're tired. So you know he's got to figure out some way to keep the horses from running.
He's going to ride a horse.
He's going to be like, you know what? Can I borrow a regular horse? At least? Like, because I can't keep up with these. Like, I'm not Usain Bolt.
The youth liked the thought of this, let the foals run where they choose, and seated himself in the cleft of the rock by the side of the old hag. So there he sat with his head on her lap, taking ease of his livelong day. I can read.
I believe you.
The foals came back in the evening, and he too got a bit of moss and a bottle of water from the old hag, which things he was to show the king. But when the king asked the youth, canst thou tell me what my 7 foals ate and drink?
Probably ask him how he keep. I think he knows they couldn't have watched because they're bringing back a bottle of water. Not like they're like, water from the stream. They're like, here's a bottle that I didn't go out with.
Okay. And the youth showed him the bit of moss and the bottle of water and said, yes, here you may behold their meat and hear their drink. The king once more became wroth.
Well, now I'm going to use that word forever.
And commanded that 3 stripes should be cut in the back of the lad's back, that salt should be strewn upon them, and that he should then be instantly chased back to his hometown. So not only does he have cuts on his back.
If you're cutting me, you're taking me home.
You're then chasing me home.
I'm not running. You already beat me, okay?
So when the youth got home again, he too related all that had happened to him, and he too said that he had gone out in search of a place once, but that never would he do it again. On the 3rd day, Cinderlad wanted to set out. He had a fancy to try to wash the 7 foals himself, he said. The other 2 laughed at him and mocked him. What? When all went so ill with us, do you suppose that you are going to succeed? You look like succeeding. You who have never done anything else but lie and poke about among the ashes, they said. Yes, I will go too, said Cinderlad, for I have taken it into my head. The 2 brothers laughed at him, and his father and mother begged him not to go, but all to no purpose, and Cinderlad set out on his way. So when he had walked the whole day, he too came to the king's palace as darkness began to fall. There stood the king outside on the steps, and he asked whither he was bound. I am walking about in search of a place, said Cinderlad. From whence do you come, then? Inquired the king, for by this time he wanted to know a little more about the men before he took any of them into his service. So Cinderlad told him whence he came, and that he was brother to the 2 who had watched the 7 foals for the king. And then he inquired if he might also be allowed to try to watch them on the following day. Oh, shame on them, said the king, for it enraged him to even think of them. If thou art brother to those 2, thou art no good for much. I have had enough of such fellows. Well, but as I come here, you might just give me a leave to make the attempt, said Cinderlad. Oh, very well. If thou art absolutely determined to have thy back flayed, thou mayest have thine own way if thou wilt.
I just want to point out that he's like, I don't want to give you a chance because your brother sucked, but here I am standing outside my castle waiting for passerbys instead of putting out like an ad or something. He's like, you know what? You lonely beggar, you want to watch some horses? He's like, I want to try to watch horses. Not you. Anyone but this guy.
Anyone but you. Said the king. I would much rather have the princess, said Cinderlad. Next morning, in the grey light of dawn, the master of the horse led out the 7 foals again, and off they set over hill and dale, through the woods and bogs, and off went Cinderlad after them. When he had run thus for a long time, he too came to the cleft in the rock. There the old lady was once more sitting spinning her distaff, and she cried to Cinderlad, come hither, my handsome son, and let me comb your hair. Come to me, then, come to me, said Cinderlad, as he passed by, jumping and running, and keeping tight hold of one of the fowl's tails.
He's holding it.
Apparently, he's just like holding on to the fowl.
He's just flying.
Why don't you just come to me? Like, what the fuck?
You want to brush my hair? You have to run also. There's no slowing down. No pain, no gain.
When he had got safely past the cleft in the rock, the youngest fowl said, what?
Wait. The horse is talking to him?
Yes.
And it's full.
Yes. Get on my back, for we have still a long way to go. So the lad did this, and thus they journeyed onwards for a long, long way. Dost thou see anything now? Said the fowl. No, said Cinderlad. Fuck. I was doing so good.
Nice. That's foul 3 times. And I'm like, listen.
You guys know what I'm talking about.
I'm like, it's a foul. You're like, yeah. And then the foul sound. I'm like, what?
Stop, it's fine.
Yeah, okay.
So they journeyed onwards a good bit further. Dost thou see anything now? Asked the foal.
Yeah.
Oh no, said the lad. When they gone thus for a long, long way, the foal asked again, Dost thou see anything now? Yes, now I see something that is white, said Cinderlad. It looks like the trunk of a great thick birch tree. Yes, that is where we are to go in, said the foal. When they got to the trunk, the eldest foal, broke it down on one side, and then they saw a door where the trunk had been standing, and inside this was a small room, and in the room there was scarcely anything but a small fireplace, a couple of benches, but behind the door hung a great rusty sword in a small pitcher. Canst thou wield that sword? Asked the foal. Cinderlad tried, but could not do it. So he had to take a draught from the pitcher, then one more, and after that still another, and then he was able to wield the sword with perfect ease.
I think he was so tired he needed to chug some water.
He's just like, I just need all this. But it doesn't say the water, did it?
It said the pitcher. It's got some fucking fluid in it.
Could be something to make him strong.
Strength potion. The hag strength potion.
The old hag was a witch.
The cougar strength.
Alright. Yep, okay. Good, said the foal. And now thou must take the sword away with thee, and with it shalt thou cut off the heads of all 7 of us on thy wedding day, and then we shall become princes again as we were before. For we are brothers of the princess whom thou art to have when thou canst tell the king what we eat and drink. But there is a mighty troll who has cast a spell over us. When thou hast cut off our heads, thou must take the greatest care to lay each head at the tail of the body to which it belonged before, and then the spell which the troll has cast upon us will lose all its power.
You gotta kill us to save us.
Yeah, so much information just happened.
What are they eating and drinking?
Don't know. Regular food? Cinderlad promised to do this, and then they went on further. When they had traveled a long, long way, the fowl said, Dost thou see anything? No, said Cinderlad, and they went on a great distance further. And now? Inquired the foal. Seest thou nothing now? Alas, no, said Cinderlad. So they traveled onwards again for many a mile over hill and dale. Now then, said the foal, dost thou not see anything now? Yes, said Cinderlad. Now I see something like a bluish streak far, far away. That is a river, said the foal, and we have to cross it. There was a long, handsome bridge over the river, and when they had got to the other side of it, they again traveled for a long, long way, and then once more the foal inquired if Cinderlad saw something. Yes, this time he saw something that looked black far, far away, and was rather like a church tower. Yes, said the foal, we shall go into that. When the foals got into the churchyard, they turned into men and looked like the sons of a king, and their clothes were so magnificent. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was still stuck on the fact they turned back into princes. I thought he had to cut their heads off.
Yeah, but no. That they shone with splendor, and they went into the church and received bread and wine. That's what they eat and drink.
So that's why the king was actually mad because they're coming back like, they're eating moss and drinking water. And he's like, not my sons. My sons are alcoholics. They only drink wine and eat bread. That's it. I don't feed them well.
From the priest who was standing before the altar, and Cinderlad went into. But when the priest had laid his hands on the princes and breathed a blessing, they went out of the church again, and Cinderlad went out too. But he took with him a flask of wine and some bread. No sooner had the 7 princes come out into the churchyard than they became fools again, and Cinderlad got upon the back of the youngest, and they returned by the way they had come, only they went much, much faster. First they went over the bridge, and then past the trunk of birch, and then past the old hag who sat on the cleft of the rock spinning, and they went so fast that Cinderlad could not hear what the old hag had screeched after him, but he just heard enough to understand that she was terribly enraged.
She's the troll.
Yeah.
Can't trust those cougars.
Told you.
Maybe she just wanted some wine and he was going so fast she couldn't get any.
It was all but dark when they got back to the king at nightfall. He himself was standing in the courtyard waiting for them. Hast thou watched well and faithfully the whole day? Said the king to the Cinderlad. I have done my best, replied Cinderlad. Then thou canst tell me what my 7 foals eat and drink? Asked the king. So Cinderlad pulled out the bread and the flask of wine and showed them to the king. Here you may behold their meat and their drink. Yes, diligently and faithfully hast thou watched, said the king, and thou shalt have the princess and half of the kingdom. So all was made ready for the wedding, and the king said that it was to be so stately and magnificent that everyone should hear of it and everyone inquire about it. But when they sat down to the marriage feast, the bridegroom arose and went down to the stable, for he had said that he had forgotten something which he must go and look to. When he got there, he did what the foals had bidden him, and cut off the heads of all 7, first the eldest, and then the second, and then so on according to their age. And he was extremely careful to lay each head at the tail of the foal to which it had belonged. And when that was done, all the foals became princes again. When he returned to the marriage feast with the 7 princes, the king was so joyful that he both kissed Cinderlad and clapped him on the back, and his bride was still more delighted with him than she had ever been before. Half my kingdom is thine already, said the king, and the other half that shall be thine after my death. For my sons can get countries and kingdoms for themselves now that they have become princes again. Therefore, all may well believe, there was joy and merriment at the wedding.
The end.
The end. Whew.
That was quite a story from beginning to end.
I really liked it, though.
I know, that wasn't a bad story. I was low-key expecting some crazy story after it's like the fool talked to him. I'm like, wait.
Like, once the fool talked, then you're just like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Some shit's about to go down.
Yeah, I know. He's like, hey, you don't want to be dangling off my tail. You want to hop on my back. This is the part I don't like. You ready?
What?
Who the hell was the hag? She was just mad. She's like, God dang it. Wouldn't let me brush his hair. Is it because I'm too old?
Had to have been the troll.
Right? But it said she was a hag. It specifically said hag.
I know, but, like, think about it. Like, there's always a troll under the bridge to stop you from going to the other side, and the other side normally has something worth going over to.
Yeah, and instead it's a hag hiding under a cliff.
Yes.
They're like, hey, P.S., I'm also a troll. Maybe it was a witch troll.
Could be.
And that way she could change her troll appearance to look like an old lady because old ladies don't exist.
Could be.
As soon as you turn 65, you are immediately transformed.
Once you can legally retire.
Yeah, once you can legally retire, you stop being human. And you are immediately something else.
Alright, so, Beauty or Beast?
I liked it, so I'm going to go with Beauty.
I'm also going to go with Beauty. I liked it.
Yeah. All right, guys, tune in next week to hear us read from the Gray Fairy book. Okay, bye.
Bye.